Another huge wave of Games Workshop releases for the grim darkness of the far future. It seems to be Mass Kill Team Week, with no less than 6 really cool squads coming for pre-order this weekend. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're talking Games Workshop's new models, and I thought it was worth covering all these kill teams that are going to be coming out this weekend, as I think every single one of them has some potential interesting value for 40k. Some are new models, and some are ones that were already released previously, either returning from the distant past or getting their individual release for the first time. From left to right on the picture, we've got the Imperial Navy, Rogue Traders, a new Kroot squad, the Space Marine Phobos Strike Team, the Gellerpox Infected, and the Traitor Guardsman. Let's go over each of them, how much they're going to cost, and a few bits about the models and rules. So first up, I think quite a hotly anticipated release on their own will be the Traitor Guard, the Blooded Kill Team. Generally the internet had a very positive reaction to these Traitor Guardsmen that they came out with, very similar to the Blackstone Fortress offerings. The kit does sort of loosely feel like Cadians but corrupted. A lot more brutal looking, plenty of interesting chaos spikes stuck out one place or another, and a few really nice details like that riot shield with the 8-pointed star, and a trophy rack for the sergeant. I was wondering whether or not the Ogrin and the Chaos Commissar will be included in this lot. I was thinking that they might just go for an individual release for them, but I think that the fact that they're here is quite a pleasant surprise, and it makes the kit quite good value in my mind. Price-wise, they're going to be £35, €45 or $60, so not really all that much more than say a standard set of Cadians would set you back. And the fact that you get 2 fun mini character miniatures included I think is pretty nice from Games Workshop. I think they will be popular for anyone wanting to build a Traitor Guard force. They've been part of the 40k lore for about as long as it's existed, and it is weird that they've never been realised in models. The kit is quite generous, it comes with all the standard infantry squad options for a normal guard squad, so I guess you could use it and use the bits to convert an entire Traitor Guard regiment if you wanted, and then just run them as the Astra Militarum rules as counts as. Maybe the Ogrin could be an Ogrin bodyguard perhaps. Seeing as the kit was quite so generous on the bits to allow it to fit in with guard armies, it genuinely makes me wonder whether or not we might see some sort of rules in the Astra Militarum decks, the last non-updated one of 9th edition now, and they might get some sort of system to say Brood Brothers for Genestealer Cult, allowing you to field some cultist guardsmen. I think that could be really nice and would please a lot of people. Otherwise, I guess you could always just give them standard las guns and field them as basic cultists in Chaos Marines Death Guard or Thousand Sons. Next up, we have the Phobos Strike Team, a fun Space Marine one, but it did feel like a bit of an unnecessary update from my point of view. Space Marines do get loads of models given to them, but I felt that the Infiltrator and Incursor kit was pretty nice already, and the bits that you get from these are kind of minor feeling upgrades, a few pointy arms, a few head swaps, an Auspex and an explosive pack, and it does build the Helix Adept option I believe, otherwise I think that's only one that you can get in the Vanguard box. I just don't feel that they really add a whole ton more than the standard kit, at least appearance-wise, and even if you wanted the rules it might not be too hard to convert those bits. The kit's £40, €55 or will be $65, so around an extra £4 or $5 extra from the standard kit. I guess not absolutely loads of difference, at least from Games Workshop, but still not super exciting for the extra bits I think. I guess it is interesting that some of those options are only usable in the Space Marine Vanguard Army of Renown, in that Infiltrators and Incursors get the Explosive Pack and the Voxbreaker Auspex included. They have a few small rules for use in-game with stratagems. My guess is that they might represent an upgrade that you can take in the next Space Marine Codex whenever it materialises. Though again, as I said, I feel like you might have some other spare bits like Auspexes going round, so you could probably convert something if you wanted. This is the new upgrade sprue. As you can see, a few head swaps, a few alternate weapons often held in just the one hand, and a few other scopes, gizmos, and aesthetic upgrades. Next up, we've got the return of the Rogue Traders. The Elucidian Starstriders are £35, €45 or $60. A distant relic from 40k's beginning that didn't see a lot of representation for quite a long time in the game. These guys returned as part of Kill Team Rogue Trader, facing off against the also releasing Gellerpox Infected. That box has been defunct for a fairly long time now, and these miniatures were kind of hard to obtain and going for quite a lot of money on the internet. This is the first time that they're seeing an individual release. Quite a fun and characterful squad of Voidsmen, fancy noble space sailors, and there's a whole bunch of other fun stuff in the box as well, including a medic, a tech specialist, a death cult assassin, and also their trusty doggo. These guys were certainly expected to come back at some point. They got some updated rules in Warzone Octarius, and it did seem kind of weird at the time to publish rules for them, but yet not actually have them on sale so we could buy. I did a review on the Rogue Trader rules the other week, feel free to give that a search if you'd like. The actual Rogue Traders have some fun gear but are kind of underwhelming for the points, but the Voidsmen at Arms can be a genuinely competitive choice for some armies, just a really cheap unit with the Agents of the Imperium keyword, so they can be some pretty efficient grunt action doers for hyper-elite armies, perhaps Space Marines or Custodes. They could also be the cheapest option for filling certain transports, they pair quite nicely with Landspeeder Storms. Next up we've got the Gellerpox Infected, the other half of Kill Team Rogue Trader, £40, €55 or $65, and again it's the first time that these guys have been individually released. Again, for a Games Workshop infantry kit, I think at least compared with most of the rest of their range, this is a fairly generous amount of models, at least by their standards. You get 4 big and chunky, maybe ogre sized miniatures, 3 fairly cool looking cultist guys with various brutal looking weapons, and then a whole ton of glitchlings and curse mites and things. They're really fun little Nurgle minions. You could either use them as their own bases or just have them as decorative effects for other Nurgle models in your army. These guys currently haven't had refreshed 9th edition rules yet, they only had the printed rules in that box from 8th edition I think. But even so, I think that these could have a lot of value for people who are playing Chaos Space Marines or Death Guard. The big guys work quite well for Possessed or Chaos Spawn, really quite nice if you're going for a fairly Nurgle themed army. I think they look more in keeping than Games Workshop's own standard Spawn option, and also they are a fair bit cheaper per model, as you only get 2 of them for £30, though you can potentially stretch the kit. I guess the little guys could be interesting unit fillers for poxwalkers, maybe plague bearers, or just cultists perhaps. And I think the little guys are small enough to be used for aesthetic purposes if you want to. Really quite fun little Nurgle flavour pieces. I guess Games Workshop might release some 40k rules for them to make them a bit more functional in 9th. It'd be quite fun to have these guys included as agents of chaos maybe. The biggest release for the week is Kill Team Into the Dark, the Kroot vs Imperial Navy set, and that one's going to be £130, €170, and that will put it around about $220, might be $5 either way. This one's been shown off fairly well already. Kroot vs Imperial Navy and fighting in a Space Hulk, they've got those bits for some nice twisting corridors, and it's interesting to see 40k style combat in a bit more of an enclosed setting. I feel like the terrain's going to be popular for quite a lot of people. Obviously good if you're playing Kill Team, though it would seem very usable for themed 40k games perhaps, maybe over a bit of a wider surface, or it could maybe even be used for RPGs. I think it's fairly exciting that they've redone the Kroot. They're a fairly iconic 40k squad to the extent that Forge World produced a whole bunch of different units for them at one point, though they did eventually discontinue them as they weren't super popular compared with other stuff. The Kroot at the moment is fairly simplistic. They're all in very similar poses, where these guys are doing all sorts of different Kroot scouty things. And unlike the standard Kroot squad at the moment that all have to take the standard Kroot rifle, these guys get all manner of different fun gear, including a big bow type thing, a sniper rifle, and a heavy weapon or 2. You also get 2 Kroot hounds included, which would be quite good if you did get 2 kits of these, as then you could fill them as a unit. And the squad leader is basically a reincarnation of the Shaper model that Games Workshop currently sells. He looks almost like a carbon copy, so if you did want to field him as that, then that wouldn't be any problem. Really nice to see a classic troops choice redone and quite so well. I feel like these guys are going to be popular, will probably be going for a fair amount on eBay in the meantime, but Games Workshop should eventually release them individually like they've done with these other kill teams. Otherwise, the second half of the box are these Imperial Navy breaches. I guess these are the equivalent of the Marines that you get in the Navy, but in space, sort of Space Marines if you would, but I guess that name's already taken in 40k. I think the miniatures all look pretty snazzy to be honest. Really quite cool gothic armoured spacesuits with some badass looking visors. One's got a multi-laser, a bunch of them have shotguns, some guy looks like he is trying to cut through some bulkheads with a great big axe, and I've got a few interesting support pieces like a servo skull and that remote control cat thing which I think one of them is operating. Again, no current 40k rules, I wouldn't be too surprised if Games Workshop did make a datasheet for them, but if you did want to run them in game, I think maybe one of the best choices might be an Imperial Guard veteran unit. Seems like they'd fit the bill okay with the access to shotguns. Again, a bit annoyingly locked to this big box at the moment. I'm sure they'll get an individual release down the line. Finally, there's also some terrain being repackaged this week. There's a box with a few of the new terrain bits called Killzone Morrock. This one's another small set of this Battlezone Frontierist terrain, the stuff that looks like it's been hastily erected by the Imperium. It looks like a set of the walls, a really quite cool landing pad, an Auspex shrine thing, and a little bunker with just the one wall on it, I can't help but think that that one looks a little bit on the simplistic side. This terrain bundle, £67.50 or €87.50, that should equate to around about $110. Currently Games Workshop does sell a Battlezone Frontieris set, that one's the Nachman set at £135, so around about double the cost of this one. Just looking at it, it at least feels like you're getting far less than double the stuff there. I think the only things that the Nachman has in it is an extra game board, an extra one of those bunkers, and an extra set of those walls. From the feel of it for me, I think that this Morok set looks far more interesting than the Nachman one, at least in terms of fun terrain pieces that you get for your money. So I think we'll just about leave it there then. 6 fun new squads coming for Warhammer 40k, and all of them nice kill team ones with at least a bunch more fun options than you might expect. Let me know if you're thinking about picking up any of these and why. It'll be interesting to see what people's take on these fancy kits are. If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where I'll certainly be keeping the regular 40k videos coming. I do tend to post new stuff each day, so feel free to check back later if you'd like to see more. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that I do have an Element Games affiliate link which is down in the video description below. If you are thinking about picking up these or any other 40k models, Element is a discount retailer based in the UK, usually giving between 10 and 20% off Games Workshop's miniatures. If you click the link before ordering anything, a small amount goes to help support Auspex Tactics, and it doesn't cost you any more whatsoever, so it can just be a way to help out the channel if you were thinking about picking something up anyway. There's also a link down there for Amazon, which works in the USA. That can be a way to do similar if you want to buy through there. In any case, a big thank you for you guys who have been using those. It does help the channel out. And a massive thank you for listening. I'll hope to see you guys next time.